Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lightworkers. Today we have Neha Goyal with us, and she's been practicing for the last decade now, right, Neha? And various modalities. So, let's just start, and know about Neha's journey and how she got into, various fields and how she's now a coach as well as, learning and growing every day. So, Neha, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your various healing modalities and then what was your healing journey?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anisha, to invite me to be speaking over here. And basically, the way I got into the kind of work that I do today is very interesting, but also maybe a personal story. So there were things which I was going through. So I worked for 15 years in the corporate industry, corporate world, where I work with hospitality and media. And while I was in that, life was also happening simultaneously. There were things, there were emotional highs and lows that I was going through. So there came a time when I was in a real emotional dump. It was like a very
Mm,
low point in my life. And that was in fact the first time, as I think for a lot of people out there, that these healing modalities seemed like a hope. But at that time, I was more of a seeker. So I was going to people for my answers. So I began with tarot, right? So I would go and ask the same questions which a lot of people ask. So that till what time is it going to be this way? And like
mm,
that experience of mine actually helped me in what I do with tarot even today also, in terms of asking the right questions at the right time. So before I go to that, what all modalities I work with today would be an interesting answer to give. So I do tarot numerology. I do something which is currently very new in the astrological world. So it might raise people's curiosity, something which is known as DNA astrology. It's a part of Vedic astrology. However, instead of
mm,
predicting in DNA astrology, we go back to see what are those karmic imprints that we have been born with, because of which there are blocks in our life: financial, relationship, health, attitude, people that we invite in our life, etc. And then remedy wise, what is it that we can do around those blocks? So the remedies are astrological remedies, but instead of saying that in so and so year or in so and so date this will happen to you, I work more from a perspective of, while you do these remedies, maybe in some future you can shift the energy around you, and the thought process shift or the energy shift around you can bring about a change in your destiny, can bring about a change in your life, given the same circumstances. And then the
mm,
other thing which I do, which I also am very, I think it's my passion, is coaching. So in coaching, it's more of one-on-one online work. In fact, all of them is one-on-one online. But in this, I do it from the lens of family system, intergenerational work. So here we come from
mm,
the belief that whatever is happening with us is not, probably did not start with us. So
mm,
if there is somebody who's going through a low phase in life, as I was at one point in time, and feeling lost, or they're going through a transformation, however, they're not yet on the other side. So they are currently in that loop of, I'm feeling lost, there's only darkness, etc. That maybe it began in the ancestry, maybe it has its
mm,
intergenerational aspects. So in a typical session with me, we will track back that ancestry. We will find out what and where did that emotional charge began, with whom, what was unseen, what was unheard, who was ignored. We will reinstate that through resolutions. And as I also know inner child healing and neurolinguistic programming, so I will add a dash of that and probably leave
mm,
the person who has come to me with not just a resolution, but also a very deep understanding of why they're going through what they're going through. And after these sessions, what to do with it in terms of tools to become
mm.
self-sufficient in life. And
Yeah.
uh, and not just for themselves, because the kind of work that I do in this is applicable not just to them, but it will has its ripples in various timelines and generations. Because once one person
Mm,
changes their attitude in the ancestry or in the line of succession, through their influence, others learn and change as well, the living. And the ones who are non living, which is our ancestors, they find their resolution
right.
through us. So this is some work which I'm really passionate about, mainly because one, it is more of, it is something which is beyond one person, right? So it is
Mm,
not something which is bringing about a shift or a change in only the person, the client who's come to me, but it is affecting
right.
maybe this entire family. And that is the beauty which I really enjoy, when clients send me such messages that, Neha, we discussed about the narrative which I carry from my mother, and I see now how I was doing the same thing or a similar thing with my child. And then when we discussed
Mm,
this, something that I had not even thought about, and we resolved it, I can see how that shifts the matrix between me and my child also. So that's the
mm.
beauty of this work. Yeah.
Neha, because I'm also working with, ancestors and the family
Yeah.
system, there's this one question that comes to mind. When somebody changes, like in the system, I know that the generations, that follow, definitely there is a ripple effect and there are changes. Do people, who came first, are there changes that go back to them as well?
Yeah. So do you mean that the ones who were before us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in family system work, what we strongly believe is that any change that is happening begins with us, right?
Mm,
What may
mm,
happen for them is like a knot. If they were tied up, it's like a knot which is
mm,
opening, right? But each one
mm,
has their own energy, has their own loyalties towards whatever uh, you know, uh, karmic baggage they have, and their own free will choice. So if we
mm.
step into family system work thinking that what I'm doing is going to affect them, well, maybe, maybe not. There is no right or wrong answer to that. The answer is that whatever
Right.
is good for the entire family system, the entire consciousness, with certain movements and with certain resolutions that we have seen
Mm.
has taken place. But how
Wow.
it may show up certain times, if there is a change in somebody in the past, like, in our ancestry, is
Mm.
how we experience it. Because haven't we heard that, oh, look at that person exactly looks like his or her grandfather, right? Or this one exactly looks like his or her uncle, right? In fact, to the
Right.
extent some clients have come back to me saying that, Neha, now that you say it, I have heard it so many times that when I make this particular expression, I look exactly like my aunt, right? So when that person is channelizing that expression unconsciously, they're basically channelizing that aunt, right? So
Mm.
maybe that expression was
Right.
of a smirk, and that's what we resolved. Something that aunt
Right.
had felt resentful towards, and we resolved that, then maybe the smirk will not come back. In my mind's eye, in my the way of looking at it is that if the smirk is not coming back the same way, maybe that aunt has found her rest. And the thing is,
Yeah.
there any better way of knowing it? It's through us that we will
Mm.
know that somebody in the past has been at rest. Because people who are after us, the successors, we can see, how will we see the ancestors? So we experience the
Right.
ancestors through us. That's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Beautiful. Um, then going back to, the karmic stuff that you just spoke about, can you dive a little deeper into what DNA astrology is? And like if a client comes, like, in probably an example, because it's a very new modality. So how do
Yeah.
people who then don't want a prediction or who are very, geared towards prediction and asking questions, how do you maneuver that process with a client?
So excellent question. But before I answer that, I would also like to answer, because I have personally gone through this, that what's the right way to, uh, approach these modalities, be it tarot, be it even numerology or astrology. The
Mm-hmm.
norm has been that, and I have also used it in the same way, as I said, that when I was in my emotional low, I also approached it from a point of view of when will I get over this, or when will I get this, or when will XYZ person and when will we be in a better relationship, let's say, for example. So
Right.
instead of asking these prediction based questions, right, which give us a which actually kind of freezes our future for us and in our mindset and in our psyche. So instead of that, if we approach these modalities from a point
Mm.
of view of what are my possibilities What are my tendencies, which is what DNA astrology tells you. So what are my tendencies? What is most likely to be my experience? And then with that, so there's a difference between prediction and what is most likely going to be my
Mm.
experience, right? And with that
Mm.
most likely trajectory of life, that experience, what is the shift that I bring into my life or my attitude so that this trajectory shifts even slightly? So I'll give you an example.
Right.
In DNA astrology, there is a karma related to each planet, right? So let's pick up the example of somebody who has a karmic registry, negative karmic registry with the graha sun, with the planet sun. Okay. Uh, Now, sun in astrology generally has to do with our self-esteem, our identity, father and fatherly figures, authority. Something that we look up to, just as the sun in the solar system. That sun is not in front in my room, right? We have to look up to it, whether it's setting or whether it is at its peak. Plus, it rises and then it sets, right? However, it rises
Mm.
and sets at exactly the same time. It's not like moon that it is phasing in and phasing out. Whenever it will come
Mm.
completely. Whenever it will go down completely, right? So somebody who has
Mm.
a sun karmic registry, negative, what they may face in life is, first, they may face issue with authority figures in life, right? Then the other
Mm.
thing that sun gives is light. They may face that it's difficult for them to find their path because the path is not well lit, you know. And then when
Mm.
I
Mm.
match that with family system work, a sun karmic registry may indicate major issues with the father and fatherly figures in life, unresolved issues with them, therefore the authority related issues, right? So so there are stories in DNA astrology which help us, and that's like a very
Mm.
deep subject. But just to tell you that these kind of people, usually you will find that they are always saying, I don't look for validation from others. However, their entire life is based on getting acceptance from everyone. And that's
Mm.
the dichotomy, that's the mental lack of peace that they deal with. They want to say,
Mm.
I don't, but they do internally. But that
Right.
belief in them that I don't is so strong, then that itself will not let them succeed in life. Because they will do
Mm-hmm.
everything to be accepted by others and harbor that thought inside them, but very strongly believe that I don't do that. So you see, there is a lack of
Mm.
acceptance in who I am, identity.
Right.
Similarly, when I come to the Mars karmic registry, the Graha Mars has to do with our energy.
Mm-hmm.
So a negative karmic registry with Mars will come out as a person for whom everything is a cause. Okay?
Mm.
And they can't help themselves but get into an argument with just about anyone and everyone. And because of which they're misunderstood, right?
Mm.
They may have certain expressions or a certain way of speaking where even if they're speaking something which is very valid, very nice, very good, important, but the way it will come out will be such that it will be misunderstood by people because they are using the
Mm.
way they're using energy into their speech could be like a warrior. Because the fact is, you know, Anisha, that we are not always in a war, right? We should also know when to
Mm.
relax. So these are just
Mm-hmm.
certain things that I'm telling you. Then we look at how it appears in charts, and then
Mm.
what to do about it. And I must tell you here, Anisha, that my training. So one is just being a DNA astrologer, right? Which is also a beautiful, gorgeous thing. I love it.
Mm. Mm.
That I am coach, and I can also look at it from that lens. Gives me that added advantage of working with people to create a behavioral change in them, shift in them, which I have seen not just only gives them hope, but it doesn't leaves them with
Right.
the problem. So if I am telling you the problem, I'm not leaving you there. Okay. There's
Right.
a problem, now go deal with it. No, no,
Mm.
because then that
Mm-hmm.
is a disservice to what I know, right? And which is one
Right.
of the reasons why a lot of times when we approach these modalities, we feel afraid. A lot of time, Anisha, people tell me, I
Mm.
don't want to get it. tarot reading done, or I don't want to get an astrology reading done because I'm afraid of what I might come to know.
Right.
Right? Because that's how life works, right? The brain only wants us to survive. So it will always choose the path of least resistance. And therefore, there is nothing unnatural about it. It is, in fact, how human species survive. And to add to that, which is where my work comes into picture, that I am not leaving you with a problem. I'm not leaving you with, my God, your life is doomed. I'm giving you a solution. And all that I know with the mixture of modalities that I know really supports me in doing that. So which is why what I bring to the table with this is something that I really honor and I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So then, do clients come for specific modality based, like, suggestions? So do they come specifically for numerology, or like when they meet you, it's like a repertoire of everything that you have?
Yeah. So, that in fact has been my journey and my learning, right? So, because there's so much that I offer: tarot, numerology, DNA astrology, and coaching, and
Yeah.
everything is so exciting. And for a person who is facing a problem, again, as I was at some time, when you already can't see a direction, sometimes it can be very confusing that, Neha, I want to work with you, but how do I work with you? Which one? So actually the real answer is that they come with curiosity, with this question that what will help me. And that's where I try and guide them. I ask them that what is the current concern that you're facing and how much, and then I also try and gauge how much this person is ready to go to dive deep. Like, is this person only okay right now and ready to just get like these specific answers? Then I would guide them towards something like tarot or numerology, which is also a deep dive, but probably not something which will ask you to do self-work,
Right.
necessarily. And then if there is somebody who says that I'm done with it, I've been to many astrologers, I've done this, I've done that, and I'm really looking to work with something which really brings about shifts and changes in me. So as soon as I hear me, I know that the person has taken responsibility of it. And that's when I would like them to explore DNA astrology and coaching. So this is the demarcation that I have done for myself. Having said that, I strongly believe, and also, you and I we have a common coach. So from that also I've learned that people who come to us, they have their own agency as well. They have their own autonomy as well. The best way works when they are deciding what they want.
Yes, that's true.
Because then they're willingly getting into it and it is their choice.
Yeah, that's true. And then in this process, Neha, can you then help everyone who comes to you, or how does it work? Like, how has your experience been there?
Yeah. Honestly, the point of view that I come from, I strongly believe that I'm not helping anyone, right? And they're helping themselves. So can everybody help themselves is the real question, which I feel is depends upon, going back to the family system work, how ready is their family system consciousness, right? So, so I'm not sure if it has a definite right yes or no answer. It really depends upon the readiness of their consciousness and the readiness of their entire being. I am equipped with tools. I can help you this way, that way. I can tell you the world. But will you take that and run with it? That depends not only on you, but your entire system.
But the fact that they have come for asking for, like, some resolution, doesn't that mean that there is some readiness already in the system that's like
Absolutely.
opening up?
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely something which they saw and then they approached me, right? However, one more thing that I would like to add here is that because today we live in the day and age of information, and the kind of work that we do, it is splashed out there. It's no more that, okay, there is only a number of people who are doing that. So a lot of time people may or may not be ready, but they may approach it as curiosity. For example, there are often people who would write to me that I want to try. I want to try tarot, or I want to try DNA astrology, or I want to try coaching. So I know
Hmm.
this is a person, then I need to have a couple of conversations, right? Before I offer them something this beautiful, something
Hmm.
this gorgeous, right?
Hmm.
Because it's good to be curious. However, I also strongly believe that um, it's also, as a coach, it's also intelligent, or let's say more compassionate, to help them put their resources in a rightful way, right? So let's say you come to me, and anybody comes to me and says, I want to try, and we get into a tarot reading, right? So trial wale jo log hote hain na, the trial people, they are mostly, there a lot of times they want to hear what they want to hear,
Right.
right? And that's not what we do. We are telling you what needs to be told to you.
Hmm.
So if that bridge is crossed, then everybody is my client.
Hmm. Right. Right.
But
And
that's a
then
very sensitive line. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then so then people who do not trust the process and they probably
Yeah.
come to you and they probably trust you, do they see results or do they see transformations without knowing the actual process?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. 100% of the times.
Yeah.
That no, not everybody knows exactly how family system work, intergenerational work, it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may not know the jingles, they may not know what is clarification statement and resolution or healing statement. But as you
Right.
said, that they trust me, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that works for them
Mm-hmm.
always.
So then, in that sense, there has to be this energy that's working, right? It doesn't, and sometimes I feel like when it bypasses your conscious mind, in a way, it's a good thing because you're not too attached to the outcome, right? Because
Mm.
otherwise, once you know, and then you get into the questioning of it, and then you know, like it has to happen this way. So when we kind of also let go of that desperation, things unfold, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, I would say one of my astrology guru used to give us this example. So he used to say that if there is anybody who's asking me too many questions before getting into a course or before getting into a reading, I usually don't accept their, um, their reading or their, I don't offer them the course. And the reason is, by the way, that is also a Mercury and a Jupiter negative karma. But the reason is that when we put too much logic into anything, not just people who are approaching, and I have seen it in my own life, that when I
Mm-hmm.
put too much logic, then there is a total lack of trust, not only in the process, but in the person who's offering also. So it's like this, that let's say we go to this place, and where I have always heard ki, their chocolate pie is amazing to die for, you must have it. And then I go there and I eat the chef's head. How do you make it? Then what ingredient do you
Mm-hmm.
put? What is in it that gives it that taste? Where are you sourcing your material from? How much time do you bake it? I am taking away the entire experience of just putting that spoon in my mouth and cherishing it. So if I am
Mm-hmm.
going to this person, I trust the expertise of this chef.
Mm-hmm.
And the chef is big, I'm small. And like a child, I would just
Right.
receive. And that is how
Mm.
I will enjoy this experience.
Interesting. Um, so then what role does faith play in your life, Neha? Like growing up, have you developed it over time or was it there like, strongly embedded in you since a certain, age?
Yeah. Truth be told, it's a relationship that I have built over a period of time on faith, with faith. Yeah. No, I did
Mm.
not have it in the beginning. So going back to
Mm-hmm.
that time when I was emotionally low, in fact, even going further back, there were several times when I was like, oh, damn, what did I sign up for? Just in terms of life,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
definitely meant that I did not have faith.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something which I developed over a period of time. And what was the second part of your question? What did you say?
Yeah, I mean, like, have you developed it over time,
Yeah,
or was it something that was deeply,
yeah,
embedded because of a certain experience or at a certain
yeah.
age?
Yeah, no, actually, no. It was not deeply embedded
Mm,
from the beginning. I have developed it over a period of time. But it's interesting now that you have asked me this question, and I go back to this incident of my life where,
mm-hmm,
again, in that emotional low and trigger warning, I was like, what is left in life? You know?
mm-hmm,
Um, so at that time, for the first and the last time, my mother gifted me a book, and it was the Fakir of
mm,
Ruzit Barucha. I don't know if you know about it. It's basically on Sai Baba. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And I read that book, and that's the only thing which sailed me through. What is the miraculous,
What was in the
magical
book?
part? Yeah. What is
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, Anisha, what was in the book. But at that time, whatever it was, it worked for me.
Mm,
And Anisha, it's important to point out first and the last time my mother gave me a book. It never happened before, it never happened again.
mm,
Right? So it was something miraculous, it was something magical, something which was through my mother saved me.
yeah.
So did I develop faith after that? No. Then I still had
Mm,
my own journey again with faith.
yeah.
And I still have those highs and lows. I would still say that I have like a so-so relationship, like, okay, where it was absolutely zero. Now I'm on a, like it's not that bad. But then there are
Mm-hmm.
certain times, even as me, I break down and I allow myself to break
Right.
down and completely just, yeah, there are so many times I've just like been on the floor and cried,
Mm,
not having faith in anything, feeling dark. And maybe because I've done that couple of times, maybe that is what has developed my faith, the faith that it moves on, the faith that that's not
mm,
where it ends, the faith that
right.
things change.
Mm,
But I had to
mm,
experience those breakdowns because otherwise I wouldn't have had evidence.
right. So then what do you have to say about the fact that people who look at healers or light workers, they have a certain perception of them being someone, who have this power, or who don't break down and who are always positive. And I think you put this love and light post as well, and how sometimes it's just like it can become toxic, right? So how do you humanize, a healer, and make it just like you said, we break down, we have our own struggles to go through, and how do we like, what is the kind of image that can make it clearer for people to understand, who a light worker is? Does that make sense? Yeah.
I share a lot about my own story, and
Mm.
not just of what happened with me years back, real time stories.
Right.
In the now, like if there is something that I faced, if there was something that I felt, if there was something that I could not handle, um, and I do that a lot with my clients also, not just on my Instagram handle or on my Facebook or on my email list, but with my clients also. And I think
Yeah.
that is exactly, Anisha, what I needed when I was breaking down, which is where that love and light
Mm-hmm.
story came from. That it
Mm-hmm.
happens. You're normal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am not something which is who has transcended this world and is having some, and I do have moments of that, to be honest, more than I used to have earlier, right? But then I do have a shadow side also. And because I am still polar, I continue to exist in human world, right? Otherwise, I would have lost touch with my body and it would have started to show on my body. I would have started to neglect it. So I keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back to my body. In fact, life keeps taking me back to my body. So whenever I'm like too much into spirituality and all of that, Something happens in life and it brings me back to reality. It snaps me back to reality, right?
So what does it mean to come back to one's body?
Yeah. It could mean different things for different people, how it happens. But in a nutshell, what it means to be back in the body is to be present and to be experiencing life as a human in the now, right? So, so if there is a discussion which I'm having with my friend, I am not coming from a point of view that, let's say, the family system point of view. Oh, iska kya, what is the trauma of this person? Why did she say that? Why did he say that? No, I am in the now, and I am in my body means that I am not daydreaming of something else. My thoughts are not somewhere else. My thoughts are not with the client and how do I make client's life better, or what process I used for the client, or what process I will use for the client. That I'm in the now and I'm having a very mundane, maybe, discussion with this person in front of me, having my drinks or two, and I'm enjoying that. So that is very important for me, to have my body experience. That I'm going to the gym. So just because, so maybe because, so maybe I participated in a family constellation which was in relation to staying fit, right? And we did certain resolutions. That's awesome. However, I will also go to the gym and sweat it out. That is me taking care of my body. That is me coming back to my body. I cannot ignore the requirements I have as a human being. And we experience the now through our body, through the breath, through, you and I being present and speaking to each other. For me, that is what it means to be in the body, not disassociated. It's not like I'm speaking to you, but in my mind, I'm somewhere else.
So does this mean that people who are light workers also, I mean, I've seen that now that you talk about this, get a little carried away with the modalities and with the work that they're doing, and not and sort of, like you're saying, disassociating with your body, and that can also create some ripple effects, right? And can have some negative consequences, because if you're not present in your body and if you don't know, like what your core is, then things that are coming out might not even be authentic beyond a point, I feel, because we're losing touch with who we are ourselves. Interesting.
I've been very lucky, Anisha, that the kind of coaches and the gurus that I have got, they're very strong in body consciousness. They have never taught me, they've taught me, let me rephrase, they've taught me magical things, staying in the body, being grounded. So be it my Kriya Yoga guru, Raja Chaudhary sir, be it Gaurav, 8EPS TSM, be it my astrology guru, Dipanshu sir, Arjun Pai. These are, and now that I'm getting goosebumps, now that when I think about it, these are all people who, they've not left the material world. They exist here. They exist in the corporate world. They may be doing simultaneous things. And then they bring their realistic approach to the ground and then they teach. And I'm very lucky that these are the gurus that I've got in life. So answering your question that do we lose authenticity? I don't know, but I speak for myself. What I experienced in life, definitely an element of relatability is lost. Right? So for example, if there is, for me, I'm saying, when I was working in the corporates, if there was somebody who was absolutely enlightened, was doing magical things in life, was creating stuff out of thin air, that's excellent. I love it. Sometimes we love magic. However, that does not bring me anything which I can utilize in my life and deal with my corporate shit. Right? I cannot sit in the middle of a meeting and meditate.
Right.
Because it's not possible. I have to be, this part requires me to be present in my body so that the question the client is asking, in this meeting, I can answer. If I'm not in my body, if I'm in the Himalayas in my mind, then I'm disassociated and I will not be able to do justice to what has been asked. So that relatability for me in my personal experience comes into picture. However, and Anisha, we know, right, that when somebody is too much out of the body, too much into spirituality, they are working from the sphere of their father, right? It's technical, but the point is that they're still seeking a father that they did not have, right? So I guess, again, with the mixture of things that I know, it's not like I was not doing it. Oh, when I was in my corporate experience, it was so easy for me to disassociate from the body. This is not meant for me. I'm too much for this. I just want to go and travel. I just want to do this. I used to say that. I used to be that.
Yeah.
And maybe because I was growing, maybe because that part of me was almost done. It was over. In fact, that's when my Kriya Yoga Guru came into my life, where I learned to be in the now by breath and stuff. So it happens, and it happens with everyone, because as we all know that our brain only wants us to survive. So if in the moment survival means to daydream, to not be in the present, it will give you that. And which is where probably coaches like you and me come into picture, where we say, hello people, let us help you.
Yeah. And very interestingly, you spoke about, coexisting with the material world, right? That light workers do. And your gurus came into your life and they sort of had this balance and that made it real for you. So do you want to talk about, coexisting and also thriving in this material world, which people look at light workers and they go like, there is they can't exist together. So, does how yeah, so how does that work?
Wow. So again, one of my gurus beautifully said this once. He said, you know what is the most spiritual thing in this world? He said there are two things. He said your body and money. Because Anisha and everybody who listens to us, if the body is not there, then how are we going to be there? We are not there. How am I speaking to you? How are people listening to us or seeing us through their eyes, through their ears? I'm speaking through my mouth. So if the body is not there, then what is there? There's the most spiritual experience that one can have. So even if you want to get lost in a Krishna bhajan, how will you, if you can't hear it, if you can't experience it, if you will not have goosebumps, how will you know it is magical? So our body is the source to our spirituality.
Yeah.
Money. There was this reel that I made on Instagram, wherein I said that it is very easy for somebody to say money is not important. So when you have it, when you've experienced it, you may renunciate it because you've had it. Ask those who don't have it. Will they have a spiritual experience? So is lack of money equal to spirituality? Because they are not having spiritual experience. You can have a spiritual experience with money only if you had it and then you renunciated it. And from that point of view, money is spiritual. It's a experience that in the world that we live in can take us places. It's important for once our basic survival is met, only then will we rise up to spirituality. Once our root chakra is in optimum movement, only then will we rise. How else will we rise?
Just like the basic.
That's
Yeah.
a basic, that's a foundation. That is on what a life will be. If there are blocks of life, that's on what the block of life will be. It cannot be on thin air. You need to have that base. You need to have that foundation. So which is why I say, right, that, or my guru says that the one who has it and then you renunciate it, that's spirituality. The one who doesn't have it, what are you even renunciating? What is it that you're saying? What did you give up? What's the spirituality in it?
So is giving up spirituality then?
No, that's not what I meant. And I know as soon as I said that, that's
Yeah.
how it came out as. No, but that's not what I meant. What I meant was that the experience of it is important to have to decide whether you want further of it or not, right?
Right, the choice.
Yeah, the choice. If you haven't ever experienced it, then to not have it is like more like sour grapes situation, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So probably from from that point of view, I meant. And no, I don't mean renunciation is spirituality. I just mean that
Right.
one can leave something when one has it. If there is the
Right.
famous thing, right? The famous story. If there is, if you're walking in a coffee shop and you hit by somebody and their mug spills, what will come out? Coffee. Because coffee was in the mug. And if there is nothing in the mug, nothing will come out, right? So there needs to be something in the mug for something to come out. Otherwise, what is coming out? Nothing.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned like a glimpse of Kriya Yoga that, you have a guru and that you started. Can you tell our
Yeah.
audience about what yoga is?
Kriya Yoga. So Kriya Yoga, from the point of view of my guru, Raja Chaudhary, is about breath work. How to control our breath to reach certain places where he took us. For example, Shunya. And there are certain buns and all. So it is to be done under a guru only because it can have consequences. And that's what I needed at that time, because I had lost body consciousness, So I needed to come back to the now. I needed to come back to, my answer was not to sit and meditate. My answer was to experience myself.
Right.
So your question was that what happened, what was my experience with Kriya Yoga? Okay. So my experience with Kriya Yoga was that, and I don't know if I can use this word here, but I got on a high. Yeah. I experienced what it means when the brain receives full oxygen, when you breathe completely. He taught me how to breathe in and breathe out. Where earlier I was breathing from my lungs, he taught me how to breathe from my diaphragm. And in the beginning, it's tough because I can't do it now because I'm used to now breathing from diaphragm. I've been doing it since 2014. But usually when people breathe, or at least I was breathing at that time, it was from lungs. It was like, so this is me using a lot of my will and courage. And over a period of time, it will exhaust me. Breathe versus breathing from the diaphragm. I can breathe fuller. It gives energy to my, the entire digestive system. It creates space. And because it creates space, automatically my lungs open up. And what do I carry? What does anybody carry over here? Is the heart. It's, the rib cage, the lungs. So the right breathing process is what at least I learned in Kriya Yoga. And I'm sure there's a lot more. There's a lot more. And he used to do this with various mantras. So those mantras, they have an effect on, at least I felt they had an effect on me. So when I will sing a mantra like Om Hreem Kleem Chamundai Viche, Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundai Viche, I felt it. When he used to say Hum Mastrai Fat, I felt that the negativity from around me is going away. He taught me how Fat, Hreem, Hleem, Ring, they all have different effect, just spoken. in a different way of the same thing. And in fact, that is something I'm happy that that was my foundation, because that helped me. What I think one thing apart from the breath and all that I learned is that what you are saying and how you are saying holds value.
Right.
So I could be saying, Anisha, thank you so much for inviting me to your beautiful podcast. Right. Or I could be saying, thank you, Anisha. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It just changes the essence of how you will receive it, isn't it?
Right.
And that was for me. I loved it. I loved it. So all from like cream could mean something, lean could mean something, and hing could mean something. Just you're saying the same thing, but in a different tonality.
Wow. And then, going into the depths of your own, body, like you said, and then, like, building that foundation for yourself. And then probably, I mean, in your experience, you meet so many people or clients. So talking about boundaries, how important is it for you in your work to have strong boundaries? And has it ever happened that you've had burnout and like working with people one on one, and if yes, then do you have certain practices around that you'd like to share?
Yeah. It's the first question, that how important is it to have those boundaries? 100% important. They're very important to have boundaries, because you, like me as a coach or a reader, having boundaries is important not just for me but for the client as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because um as I said that, and this is what I've learned from all my gurus, that client have autonomy and agency of their life. So I am not responsible for their agency and autonomy. They are responsible for them. That for me is a good boundary to have. Right. And practices. Initially, I used to have practice of sage smudging and bay leaf smudging, selenite, the crystal,
Yeah.
Palo Santo, saltwater bath. And in our culture, in our Hindu culture, I'm a Hindu. So in our culture, we also have that Nazar Utara ka thingi, right? So that the mantras work beautifully for me. Hamastraya Phat, all gone. Right? But over a period of time, I also noticed that maybe I needed it lesser and lesser. And that happened when I became more grounded in who I am and myself, right? And then my coaching was about how I feel and the value that I add to other people, rather than, basically, I want to say that I stopped at one very important time, very early on. I stopped making other people responsible for how I felt and my emotions.
In your personal life
And
or
in my coaching also.
or in your coaching?
So a client will come to me with a set of concerns. Some of those concerns are definitely very overwhelming for the client.
Yeah.
But when my job is to create a safe space for the client. And therefore, I have to learn how to not absorb the client's energy. Because if I will absorb the client's energy, I will become one with their experience. And when I become one with their experience, there is nothing new that I can show them. And when there is nothing new that I can show them, then I as a coach hold no value. So therefore, that separation with the client and their experience is important for me to have, to see a point of view. You're frozen. Yeah, you're back. You're back. Yeah. So that differentiation is important, to see the point of view for which the client has come to me. So I trained myself to not become one with their story,
Right.
and which required me to be in my body and not their body or their
Yeah.
experience.
And like, they say in the nervous system regulation also, if we are not feeling safe ourselves, like as coaches or healers, then, how can we transmit the same to our clients, right? Mm.
Yes. In addition to that, I would say Gaurav once also said that the part of you which comes as a coach and the part of you which could be dysregulated because there is something happening in your personal life, both of these parts can be different, right?
That's also true. Mm.
Yeah. So what if I somehow train myself to observe these two different paths, not mix them? Because the fact is, Anisha, just because you and I are coaches, just because you and I do certain sort of work, doesn't mean that the personal life stops happening to us. Right? We
Exactly.
will go through stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe, and which is why we have our own support systems, right?
Right.
I would rely, for my work, I would rely on them,
Right.
on my gurus, on my coaches, not on my client.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, because there's a tendency uh, of course, the client relying on us, but then also us relying on them for certain kind of
Validation.
validation. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that can become very heavy very soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
And
the
truth
essence
be
of
told, that
boundaries.
used to happen several years back. It used to happen. I have also learned over a period of time that how that is not fair to the client
Right.
also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, Neha, wow, time has just flown. We're moving to the last section. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, who Neha is and what motivates you apart from, the healing and the energy or, different modalities that you practice. Apart from that, what else do you do and what, brings happiness to your life?
Oh, so nicely you've asked. My experience of Neha says that Neha is a very passionate person. And it's not the same every 10, 15 years, or maybe 5, 6 years, you know,
Yeah.
from the way she looks to what she does in life, to what she brings to the table, to what her thought process is, to what her belief system is.
Yeah.
So she's an ever changing being. And that's maybe a a personal choice of hers. Also, she enjoys it that way. And she does it with some gusto, some passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from that point of view, Neha is somebody who will always, first of all, have Neha's back, which was not so earlier, right?
Yeah.
And and is very passionate about helping others to have their back.
Mm.
And that's a result of her own life. Like, had she not experienced it, she wouldn't have
Yeah.
known that it can happen or it exists. So she's a
Yeah.
very on the job, would just, how there are people who do all these qualifications and then they go into a
Mm.
job, they do it. Neha is a very, what is that thing called? On the job training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
She learns through these experiences. But sometimes
Mm.
she puts a lot of pressure on herself also to learn this. She's like, did we just not learn this?
Right. Yeah. So do you have similar traits of who you are like as Neha apart from the healing work that you do? Like or are there different personalities?
Hmm. Wow. Never been asked that. Such an interesting question.
Because the way you're talking about it, it seems like you kind of absorbed, or you've combined the two. So is there a
Yeah.
difference, or is it true like the way it is? Yeah.
Um, I think that now that you say it, I'm noticing there is a difference, right? Um, Neha, as a coach and a reader, stands in her expert energy, which is what gets activated when I'm dealing with a client or when I'm in a forum while I'm speaking about my expertise.
Yeah.
Neha in personal life maybe a lot more um what do I want to say? Having myriad of emotions,
Mm,
quite an observer.
mm,
There is a slight change, slight shift, let's say. Because when you asked me this question, I was just thinking that am I the same with my family and my friends as I am with the clients? And the answer is no, I'm not the same.
yeah.
And for me personally, that difference is required. Otherwise, I will stop enjoying life. I cannot be, I'm not everybody's coach. I am not my family's coach. I am not my
Yeah.
friend's coach. I am your friend. I'm your sister. I'm your daughter. I'm your child. Please take me as a child. I claim my place back.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
at some point, I struggled with that.
Right. Yeah. That's a very important point you bring up, because it does happen that, it seems like there are no boundaries, and people, especially, family, friends, they just reach out to you and they're meeting you in a social, gathering, and they start talking about, why don't you tell me what's going on, read my chart. And, it just seems like I'm here to have fun, or, just to relax. And then I don't want to use my,
Yeah.
that part
Yeah.
of my brain to start working. Yeah.
It's the same as, like I was watching this comedian's interview and the comedian was saying that it's very weird wherever people meet me, they're like, Acha, joke batao, joke sunao.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Yeah,
that's not how it works. But
yeah,
I understand
yeah.
their curiosity also. Because truth be told, if I
Mm,
had somebody who was a coach or a reader in my family, I will do exactly the same thing. you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or maybe, we will look at it differently now that we've been in,
Yeah,
their shoes. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's
So
a
for that,
different
we had to
perspective.
experience this to
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
yes,
true.
this is not how it happens. It
Yeah,
happens,
yeah.
right? If you have a doctor in the family, you will, okay, this is what, is it okay? Should I have this medicine? You will, no, you do that. Everybody does
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Wow. So then we're moving to the last section now, or last question now. Because this whole podcast is about miracles and hope, and how we bring more hope into people's lives. So do you want to share certain stories of clients maybe over the years, where you've seen transformations, and where you've had or such major shifts that people have come with a certain issue, and then you've just seen a totally different person. I mean, we would love to know that.
Yeah, I mean, it has happened. Like I'll give you an example of this client. They were going through some issue, which was a very tough issue in their marriage. And it was a very convoluted kind of a concern. So
Mm-hmm.
they brought it to the table. And before they, like when the sessions ended, they were like, I'm going with a very different perspective with which what I came. So what was the difference? The difference was that they were more in touch with reality. They were more in touch with themselves. They were more ready to take the charge and decision making of their life. And they were also massively getting gaslighted, which they were not able to see
Mm,
earlier, as a lot of people are not able to see. So they were able to see that. And that brought about a shift in themselves, which brought about a shift in marriage, in their marriage. So that was one. Then there was this other client who had been at a position, so very talented, and knows that they are talented. So no doubts over there, but was not getting
mhm,
promoted and was stuck in a particular position for a long time. So our
mm,
work together, uh, actually made them the head of that particular, the thing that they were working. So that for them was, very smooth. And, this shift happened. Like in the end, the client came to me, and one fine day we discussed, and the client said, "Oh my God, I had not even thought that this could happen when I came to you, you know."
Right.
So what was it? It was a personality shift. It was a thought process shift. It was because when the thought process changes, Anisha, what you are saying, the way you are saying it, the way you are expressing it, that changes. And because of that, how other people perceive you, what they think that they can or cannot do with you, that changes. So it's not like the
Mm-hmm.
person has changed because you have
Mm-hmm.
changed. How much they give to you or not give to you, or how they can behave with you, through you, that changes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that, then there was this very beautiful work that I did once with this person who was this lady. She had a endometriosis issue. And when I worked with her with family system work, we
Mm-hmm.
realized that there were several, at least 2 to 3 ladies in her ancestry who were unheard. They were forgotten, they were secrets because their family did not accept them. So
Mm.
I'm not going into details because one, that's a personal story, and second, it's a trigger warning also of what happened with them. So we did certain resolutions for her to give them their due place.
Right.
Right. And then guess what happened? After, I think we worked together for about 3 months. And after that, she did tell me that the endometriosis pain has drastically gone down. And that the
Mm-hmm.
doctors have said that they've reduced the dosage. And not
Wow.
just that, so this was a physical symptom which showed to her in a good way. Another thing um, she said that, I can't forget that word. She said, "Neha, I feel complete. I feel as if you've made me aware of myself, and that feels complete."
Yeah.
So why I would call these things magical is because I remember you asked me a question that, "Neha, what's your relationship with faith?"
Right.
And this is where I come into picture that, maybe you could be beginning with an absolute lack of faith
Mm-hmm.
and trust in the process. But when you have trust, either have the trust in the process or you have trust in me. And that's what works miraculous in people's life. And what is miracle? Miracle is just something that is very out there for you, right? Which is why it's a miracle.
Right.
It's magical because you are not able to embody it. So therefore, oh, aisa bhi, this is also what happens because your
Mm.
body hasn't experienced it yet.
Yeah.
What if I help you in your body experiencing it? Then it will
Yeah.
be normal. Then it will not be then it will not be magical for you.
Yeah. Or magic becomes your reality. Yeah. Yeah.
Magic becomes your reality. Then reality is reality. No, then we don't feel that it is magical.
Right. Right. Mm. Wow. So it was such a beautiful interview, Neha. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for sharing your wise nuggets with everyone. And I don't know why I'm being called to ask this. Maybe you don't even have an answer for this. But is there something which you can tell our viewers, something, in terms of an astrological remedy that, of course, it has to be specific to, what people's charts say and how they are, but something very generic, that anybody can practice and, make their lives better.
Okay. So, okay. So I'll say whatever is coming to me right now. And this is something actually which I also experienced in my life myself. to have a process of connecting with your body and beautifying it every Friday to improve your relationship with Venus. And Venus is the graha which gives pleasure in our life, which gives what I usually tell my clients, Venus is the ras of the rasgulla. Rasgulla without ras is meh, you know. So if
Yeah.
somebody has a Venus
Yeah.
karmic registry, they may be having a car, they may be having a big house, they may be having, they may be married, they may have beautiful children. So from the outside world's perspective, they are having the best life. But from within themselves, they are filled with tension. They're not able to enjoy that beautiful house, that beautiful car, because there's an inner conflict maybe in the marriage, which nobody knows about. It's an inner secret. And they may eat, but they may not get a good taste of something, you know? So that's a Venus karmic registry, that to have it and not be able to enjoy it. You know, the kind of people who others would say, Arey, why are you leaving this person? We thought you were having a very happy married life. Nobody knows what they are going through, but they are going through.
Right.
So to do that, to have connection with Venus, to create that beautiful connection with Venus, which means to appreciate everything in life. But if right now I will have gratitude for everything, maybe Venus karmic registry people would say, Arey, but I don't have anything in life to be in gratitude of. So which is why the remedy comes into picture, to embody it. So, one thing that I once told my clients, so get yourself a lotion and get yourself a good quality lotion, body lotion. And when I say good quality, it does not mean branded.
Right.
It means that the quality of that lotion is good. It could be of $100, doesn't matter. Quality should be good. And then can have a connection with your body and slowly apply it to your body, enjoying it. So give yourself 10-15 minutes on a Friday to enjoy putting that lotion on your body in the morning and in the night. So Venus is mostly a evening planet. So maybe in the evening after taking a bath, you can do that. Another remedy which is to me is, and a lot of people do it, that when they are at home, especially those who are working, that when they are at home, they would wear their night suit throughout the day or a nightie throughout the day. That is killing your Venus. Ensure that you're hygienic, you take a bath on time. And some people take a bath, but then they again wear their night suit or nightie.
Yeah.
So strict no, if you want to improve your Venus.
So you're saying like dress up and like look a certain way.
Presentable look. And this is something that people will experience, that you feel different when you are in a night suit or a nightie. And when you are, let's say, like I dressed up, I did a little bit of makeup for this interview, right? That I put on a perfume. It's not like you can smell my perfume from there, right? Nobody who is listening to me through the screen, they cannot smell my perfume.
But you're feeling different.
But I can smell my perfume, and therefore I know that I'm feeling good about it.
Beautiful. Yeah. And this is so true, right? With work from home and with people staying at home all the time. All of this, what we do.
Yeah, it got into a habit. I know of so many people who do that they would take a bath and then they will wear a nightie. I'm like, if you have to change, why don't you just get yourself a day, like whatever it is that you wear, suit, sari, Western clothes, whatever it is that you wear.
Right.
So I also did not have a good relationship with Venus earlier. I have also developed it over a period of time. And for everybody who doesn't have, I want to tell you, I hear you when you say it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to sit and Neha, put that lotion on me. I hear you, I've gone through it. But trust me, it will over a period of time give you beautiful results. The results that you do want it.
Wow. I hope everyone hearing, tries it out and, thrives and becomes abundant and Yeah, and I'm so grateful, Neha, for you to come on my podcast and share your nuggets and just be, because I think your presence itself is like so grounding. So,
Ah,
so if people want to get in touch with you, Neha, what's the best way they can?
yeah. So those who are on Instagram, they can get in touch with me on my Instagram handle. That is Coach Neha Goyal, CoachNehagAGoyal. Otherwise, I can also be contacted on my email, which is uh, nehagoyalshreem@gmail.com, which is NEHAAGOYALSHREEM@gmail.com. And for those who are on my Instagram, they will write to me. They will, when they go ahead, they will get my WhatsApp number. So that's another place where they can contact
Cool.
me.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll put all of these details in our show notes. So yeah, if there's any,
Yeah.
they can just click and get access. Perfect. Thank you so much, Neha. It was a lovely conversation, and I hope to. I mean, you have so many modalities, that you practice. I'm sure you can come back and just specifically talk about, DNA astrology again, because
Yeah.
I'm just fascinated, and there is just so much to explore, right? Yeah, and I look forward to bringing you back on our show. Yes.
Beautiful. I would love to come back. It's always good to not only speak to like-minded people and learn, mutually learn, but also just to put out there, because you never know who it may reach, right? So yeah, I would love
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Neha.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Take
Take care.
care.
Namaste.
Bye, everyone.